Hello, everyone. Welcome to the D3 eSports Pit Talk. This is our post-race show, and we have an exciting show lined up for you today. I'm your host, Carlos Figuerella, and I'm joined by Ian and Simon Dawson from Dawson Racing. Gentlemen, welcome.
Welcome.
Good to be here for the Pit Talk. Great.
Yeah, we've just wrapped up the first D3 eSports Cup Championship. Really excited about how things turned out. Over the last 5 weeks, we've seen some amazing racing. Give us a quick overview of what we've seen and how it all finished up.
Yeah, no, I'll jump into that one. I think, all in all, obviously we've all been working hard to try and create something a little bit different, something that enables brands in this tough time that we're going through with COVID, but also where we've seen a lot of emerging businesses that have now kind of really come to forefront in this time where we're all in rooms and all working remotely. I think so to see the Swiss format work out and that sort of bridge between virtual and real really sort of pan out like that. I think that it was great to see the 16 drivers going through the whole 4 weeks of qualifying to have the seeding and the qualifying grid put together. And it's brilliant. I think it was excellent as well to see equal exposure for all of the cars. You don't normally see that in real racing. You just stay sitting at the first two and that's that. But it was great to see all the brands getting exposure through the Forza 7 Motorsport and platform. I think it was fantastic. Shame to see a little bit there. Obviously, I was sort of sitting in the pits a little bit and on some calls and things, and shame to see Nelson just disappear off from his steering wheel, be disconnected. So that was a bit of a shame. But I think really, yes, racing's racing, but I think it's great to just see this platform work, and we've got a lot to work on into Series 2, which will now be opening us up to the globe for people to pre-qualify.
That's great. I mean, I think from that side of it, Simon, is that, we had this idea and you've worked with it. And I think, the camera angles, mainline, manage this for us have done a great job of really picking up all the different cars. This is something you don't often see in real racing, where you only ever see the front two cars and you're lucky to see everybody else. This was all about making sure the brands that come and get involved with what we're doing here actually see and get some coverage for what they're doing, because that's where the value is in this type of tournament. From a driver's point of view, Nels, such a shame, had a mechanical failure, but that happens in the real world. I don't think a little bit of overbraking further down the field, which again was unfortunate, but I think justification of what we did is we got an extremely good visual race, and we got, other than that one little, I think, tap at the back which changed a couple of positions, it was a very clean event and everybody was on the lead lap, which is really good.
Definitely. And just to recap, we had 16 cars enter for qualifying. We just wrapped up the championship race with 10 drivers that qualified for the final race. And the standings were Ben in first place. Then we had Brandon in the Zotac car in second place. Pablo Gonzalez in the Dawson Racing Transformer car in third place. We had Don Enti in fourth, Shadow Ninja in fifth, Alessio was in sixth place, Red Rum was in seventh, Nighthawk in eighth, and then Don Nelson in ninth, and Skowan in 10th. So just to recap, Ben in first place, we also had Brandon in second, and Pablo in third. What a finish.
No, it's great. I think,
pretty exciting
again,
stuff,
two Transformer cars in there, and it's great that Zotac were up there, STEM were in there doing what they had to do. And, I think Viva, they started in the back row, so they had a challenging time on this type of track to actually make some headway. But I was extremely pleased that, you know, they ran it very well and justified being in there.
Definitely. Simon, you had something to add there.
No, I was just going to say exactly what Ian said there. It's I think it was great how it all panned out, and you know, it was solid, and I think it's quite nice having it all on the line at that race. And but again, everyone was featured great. Everyone did a great job, and I think it was pretty cool. Pablo's been teetering around in the middle of the pack for all the qualifying, and then he sort of snuck in there with that one. But you know, it's I enjoyed watching the battle there between Nelson and Ben for a little while. I think that was really good stuff. How Ben just stuck in his wing mirrors there. Maybe the fluid in the steering column for Nelson was what went there. I don't know whether it was USB connector or what, but no, it was good and it was great. I mean, it's great seeing Brandon kind of really the same thing, just come forth right up to mix it up with our pro guy and our data guy. You know, in pro sim races. I mean, it's excellent. It's great to see. Really cool seeing Zach and you know, Scott in there as well. You know, it's totally represented the brand really well. Heard from stem.org each week, and very happy with those two lads, how they represented his brand. And I'm excited to get on the phone with them and talk about season 2, because there's some exciting stuff for them. And then, you know, Viva, great. What a good thing to see them both up in there. And then, you know, the Ore Drain car as well. I mean, they've been there from the start of this a year ago with having these sims in their facility. I think Ben Chester had a few issues getting into the practice this morning, which kind of, you know, possibly maybe hurt an opportunity to get an Ore Drain car in the grand final. And then America guys was great, coming in real late off the horn there, missing quite a few rounds. So it was good to see another brand on track, and we look forward to seeing what comes of that. And then the black and gold, you know, Caesar and you know, obviously John's still waiting on his sim parts. We've got all the parts in now, so he'll be in season 2, and we'll get Caesar out there as well. Yeah, so really exciting to see what comes of it.
Definitely. And, you know, all of this going down while, you know, real racing is starting to get back. We've seen some activity start to happen, and fan engagement is just such a huge part of the racing experience. You know, Simon, Ian, you both have been part of racing for a long time and know that value. But recently you've partnered with a brand to make the fan experience better. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, no, thanks, Carlos. I was on with Ken and Jim, the founders of Square One Flex, all throughout that race. We're really planning a lot next week and for the month of August. Really, all of our work with them has been 2 years in the making. You know, we really tried to build this fan experience to real racing, and then at one point mesh it into virtual racing. Here we are, as we've said before, we flipped it around, and you know, we'll be able to showcase this wearable technology with Dawson Racing. And then our goal now is to offer this to all the other teams that win those spots and position their brands in that top 8 or in those eight teams that'll be racing in the next D3eSports tournament series. So yeah, we caught up with him obviously earlier this week, and really good for him to kind of overview kind of where they are as a company. And we can pick up on it afterwards, because we'll mention a few more things. But yeah, really excited to share this with the virtual and the real worlds.
Sure. So Square One formed really about 2 years ago, when my partner Jim and I looked at it and said, hey, we really need to provide something for dispersed fans, right? Because we're sports fans first and foremost. And so we said, there's really nothing for the fan that lives out of market today. So we started looking at different things that we could do, and how to engage people that aren't just in market, but everywhere globally. And so out of that really is the essence of what Square One is engaging fans and people that want to be part of what is going on, but can't always be there in person, right? And so that was the onus, and from there we said, okay, how do we provide value? And so we said, okay, let's introduce a payment vehicle, right? And so that's where the wearable came from. And then, well, what if contactless isn't accepted everywhere? And then it was, okay, well, let's look at phones and let's look at a physical card. And so we did that. We said, okay, let's put all that together, and then you have to have an app to manage that. And so we did that. So we put the app together, working with industry leaders such as FIS, G&D, and others to really put that payment vehicle behind it. And so working with Dawson, we said, okay, this is going to be really our first foray into a race team and esports in general. And so it was, let's brand it for you. Let's give you the ability to issue a payment vehicle that you can provide rewards, loyalty, a full marketplace, and then you really engage the fans, right? So if you go to your local grocery store or wherever you might go throughout your day, and you transact using the Dawson Racing wearable, the mobile phone pay, or the physical card, you get points for that, right? And that provides value. That's what everybody's really looking for. And so that's kind of how that's how we've built the platform. And we said, okay, if you're looking at students and student athletes and alumni and people that have that affinity already for a school, we provide the same product for them as well. And we say, okay, mom and dad can then manage the account. They can tell them exactly where they're spending the money. They can provide funds to them without having to go through an extra cost, or provide them with a credit card that could potentially impact their futures, right? So this gives them a better tool for that, but also allows them their own independence, and teaches them how to manage funds and accounts and payments and direct deposit, right? We allow direct deposit, credit, debit card loading, ACH, right? Peer-to-peer transfers. All of that's included in the app.
Wow. That's very exciting, Simon.
Yes, no, really excited, and it's been a long journey, and I think things have slowed up a little bit because of the situation that the world's in, but they've also slowed up a little bit because we saw so many more opportunities that we can add into this. And I mean, we've all been involved in this with Ken and Jim, and Barbara and Ian, and yourself, and when you've been down here and seeing how we're really trying to connect these fans a little bit more, connect the brands that the fans are watching, give them another platform for teams. Really just connect this all so much more. So, next week we will be launching, now the app has been approved, in the Android and in the Apple stores. There's a few little things we're changing here this weekend and Monday, and then Tuesday, some cool stuff will be going out. And, we'll be working with our drivers that are that have been in this first series. Because that was really what this is about. It's about inviting the right people in so that we've got many different disciplines from where everyone's from, so we can get a lot of feedback. And I can't thank all the 16 drivers and the 8 brands enough for that. But yeah, we will be opening up global pre-qualification through these bands. So they're going to need to download the app. They're going to need to be able to connect their bands, like order the band through the store, connect them up. And then once they go into the pre-qualifying, if they get through into the 16 qualifiers, that's how they're going to start to accrue their points, because eventually the points that they earn will actually be put on their band. So we'll be working with the drivers pretty closely on that and the other brands to be featured also on the app. So watch this space next week.
Absolutely. And a huge thank you to Ken Boyle for giving us that detailed overview and walking us through that. Kind of transitioning over to Ian. Ian, we're not going to let you off the hook this week. We want to transition over to our historical piece where you can walk us through some exciting photos and tell us a little bit about the history behind each photo. This week, since it is the championship week, we wanted to kind of expand a little bit and bring in 4 photos that you can talk us through. So, Ian, if you could do us the honors, starting with the top left photo, walk us through that.
Okay, yeah. I think what we've got here is we picked 4 pictures out and images that basically it shows marketing. I mean, some of it is iconic names and privateers funding their brands. But the cabin Porsche, this is a Porsche. This is a factory GB Porsche. This is actually Derek Bell at Le Mans. It's an innovation project built by Richard Lloyd Racing in the UK, who we represented Porsche UK. It's the basis of a Porsche factory car with its own aerodynamics on it. Proved to be very quick, very competitive. It was in a period of time in the 90s where we only had so much fuel to operate in around the world. So when we traveled, to 11 races worldwide in a world championship, we were challenged with not wasting fuel, and this was in the 90s. So again, the story of innovation here and being ahead of the time, I think much like we are with the wearable bands, looking into the future of how money works. That's a typical project that I would have been involved in, which was looking into the future, and a successful car.
Awesome. And kind of moving to our next photo, walk us through this one.
So again, perhaps on track, not the most successful car, but this was again a visionary car looking at a different way of manufacturing. It's also the relaunch of the BRM, British Racing Motors brand. It has its own V12 engine in it. We manufactured every single component, every body part on it, all the aerodynamics on it. It's a very peculiar, state-of-the-art fighter pilot top cockpit, where the glass was then molded in what they call 2 shapes. So an aerodynamically big jump forward. Probably lacked a little bit of horsepower, but you'll see some carryover here. Wayne Taylor's in this car. Wayne Taylor, is today one of the top privateer entrants in IMSA, and he was able to have Danker, which was then a forward-thinking company coming through in the copying world.
Awesome. Always on top of the cutting edge of innovation. So cool to see how you've kind of put that car together. Moving on to our next car. Tell us about our next car here.
Yeah, so this to most people is an iconic classic. This is the Ferrari P333. Really Ferrari's last entry into sports car racing alongside Formula One. I mean, it was a dominant car. Again, you're seeing here Wayne Taylor driving at Le Mans. This was a fantastic marketing program where you've got LeasePlan, European leasing company, you've got Toshiba, the supplier, and you've got Danker, the service operator. And this was really great marketing platform around an iconic name. So the 333, I think Ferrari built over 40 of these cars. Even today, I think they're worth probably 50% more than what they were 20 years ago when they were built.
Wow. And then last but not least, car 21 here. Tell us the history behind that.
So this car is it's called a Ascari. It's a very, very successful energy guy back in the late 90s, early 2000s. NDS was a nutritional product. So again, we're starting to get involved in visionary areas where I think we're seeing today in some areas of helping people. The Ascari here is actually driven by Ben Collins. Some of you may know him as the very first Stig. Went on to be an extremely powerful stunt driver. You often see him in Range Rover adverts. But again, this was a single manufacturer with a big vision. The owner went on to build his own private test track in Spain. and it sort of a diversity a little bit about away from there was the iconic Judd engine powered V10 600 horsepower plus. So again, a lot of history, but things that move on. The marketplace became very difficult for the private person to be able to survive in the manufacturing world.
Wow. And you mentioned Ben Collins was the driver in that vehicle. He was actually a bit of history for our fans out there. He was a James Bond 007 stunt car driver. So really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Ben up from Formula 3, where he'd been a really top runner and he adapted to sports car racing unbelievably well. Became the original Stig on Top Gear, and as you say, went on to appear even today in many movies. He's still a pretty competitive driver, and I'm not saying it's the end of Ben's career, not getting back in. He's got some young daughters now, and probably his focus became a little bit safer. Although I don't know how you say that being a stunt double, but anyway, it probably proves racing still pretty dangerous.
Absolutely. And Simon, I mean, you have a walking history book with your dad. I mean, how, dinner table conversations should just be way more interesting than mine.
It's funny because it's growing up, I remember him coming back going, "What did you do?" And he just wants to chill out. Very, very simple. As much as he's in all of these crazy things growing up, I always remember him just being a cool dad. We always got into as much stuff as we possibly could. And, but yeah, I think later years, as I started to like all of those cars there, I was playing tennis professionally. So I'd get yanked in to do something or other with the team and got to meet all these people. And, Ian mentions Wayne Taylor. I mean, it's great to see what Wayne's doing today and what his boys are doing, and I think it always comes back down to this family side of things. You look at all of these sports teams, you look at all these race teams, and, the core of most of these successes is a strong team. And when you have these strongest teams also having that strong family in there, it's wonderful. I mean, you talk about Ben as well. I mean, like I say, he's got a couple of daughters, a few more than a couple of daughters, but it's great because he's obviously wandered into the virtual world and done a lot of stuff with the toy world and does all these different things. And I think it is great, as whether it's a team you're involved with or as a family person, you're able to share all these things, right? And I think that's what this platform that we've created really is enabling us to do, is just reach so many more people. And for different companies, different drivers, for whatever reason, someone should be able to pick up on something and go, "I'd like to be a little bit more inquisitive about that. Let me see how I can drive. Let me see how I can learn a bit more about engineering. Let me see how I can get my graphics exposure into it," or whatever it may be, right? So really excited now to work with the drivers now off-site or off-screen, shall we say, and fine-tune that wearable piece before we launch that out into the pre-qualifying into next season. And thank you very much to everybody in the back office, everybody in the front office, everybody in any office, and everyone that participated and watched, and chomping at the bit. But from my side of things, stay safe, everybody, and really appreciate everyone's interest and support and interaction.
Absolutely. And speaking of team, we want to thank all of our sponsors and partners for being a part of the D3 eSports Cup Round 1 Championship. A big thanks to all of our fans, and a special thank you for everyone watching Pit Talk. Make sure to follow us at D3eSports on all of the social platforms. We're excited about what's next. So Simon, tell us more about what's coming up.
Yeah, no. So what's coming up now is obviously we're going to get working away to launch the pre-qualifying rounds. Obviously, this series we've invited some people very close to us to be a part of this, so that we can work with them and have some quite in-house feedback. But yeah, we're going to work with the drivers that are currently in there next week, get them fully plugged in and give them a good opportunity to understand the pre-qualifying. This will then go global, so we'll work with all the other partners and the other teams to launch out to their databases, so that we'll have drivers from all over the world participating with this. And then, as you've seen with this, is once we get through August, we'll end up with a good 32 drivers that are quite nicely packed in that top 32. The top 16 will then progress into what we've just experienced now, is the D3eSports Cup tournament series, which is 4 rounds of qualifying in essence, and there'll be a winner from it, as we've seen from the 4 rounds. Then you take the top 8, a couple of wild cards, and then there's your grand final, and then go again. So all of that is coming. We will be obviously encouraging everybody to, if they really want to take this seriously, is to go and order one of the bands off the store, download it, get acclimatized to the future races that are coming up and the dates. They'll all be on the app. So that'll all come out next week. And once you've got that app and you've got your band connected, you can then get into the pre-qualifying. You make it through the pre-qualifying, that band is needed to store all of your points, because that is where we're going to put the prize points, the prize money, everything's going to be stored on that. So this can start to become quite a nice career for some of those that we're seeing out there as well. And then off the back of that is there's going to be this huge learning within the real race teams, where those bands give them safe, secure access that they can obviously use in their daily lives or any sports and any entertainment they want to get into as well. So safety, speed, and interaction is the 3 things we're going to be fully focused on here coming up. So yeah, all that stuff will come.
And last thing, where can people find more information about the bands?
Yeah, so at the moment, all the bands are on the Dawson Racing store, because obviously Square One's a partner with Dawson Racing. It's something that we want to now offer to all the other teams in the virtual platform. But if everyone goes to dawsonracing.com, goes to the store, you'll see the bands. Early next week, there'll be some change-ups on that site, but they can start to pre-order those now. And then obviously the app will be ready here next week as well. So yeah, Dawson Racing is the spot.
Awesome. Well, Simon, Ian, thank you both so much. To our fans out there, thank you again, and we'll catch you next time.
The guy warned Seth that it's going to look like no one lives here, but there are people there, and you don't want to fuck with them.
Yeah?
That's great right there. All right, we got it. All right, let's load up.